to Kira and Mal Gaming, where my fiance is trying to turn me into a gamer. For those new here, I'm Kira, the newbie to the gaming multiverse.
And I am Mal'Ganis, the overseasoned, overcooked veteran.
So Mal, what are we doing today? Or more so, what are you doing and what am I watching?
So we are day 1 of Phase 3 Season of Discovery. I kind of didn't want to play War Thunder today, and I know you're tired. I figured I'd play what I'm excited for, and we could chat. And I know we had floated the idea a couple times of you coming back to play World of Warcraft, and I actually just watched a great video from Asmongold, talking about World of Warcraft and how unapproachable it is by new players. At least retail is completely unapproachable by new players, and I kind of agree with him. I feel like if you were to come back and try World of Warcraft again, I feel like you should probably try like Season of Discovery or what we had discussed, the upcoming Cataclysm classic servers that'll be coming out. I think that might be a little bit more your tempo or speed. What are your thoughts?
So, I guess while you're flying around, I want to start with why do they have the different versions?
So they were adamant that there was only going to be one version for, God, almost 15 years, I think. And there during that time, because I remember playing on one, I think it was Burning Crusade WoW, was one of the private servers, but there were several different private servers established for different eras of the game. So like there was the vanilla, the Burning Crusade, and then later on there had been Wrath of the Lich King private servers. The big one was the vanilla servers. That's what a lot of people wanted. And then basically the community bullied Blizzard into saying, hey, we want this, make it. And originally the Blizzard's stance was like, you think you do, but you don't. And then come to find out we really did want it and we supported it. But they initially weren't able to do it. And I think as the story goes, I'm not completely clear, I'm a little fuzzy on the details, that there was a former Blizzard employee that had like an OG original 2004 copy still sitting on a hard drive. I'm so glad she jumped into your lap and not mine. Still sitting on a hard drive that they actually used to build what became World of Warcraft Classic. And then what they ended up doing is they ended up diverging again, and there's Classic era that will always be Classic. It will always be vanilla with Naxxramas, Molten Core, AQ20, AQ40 will be the only raids, or the only 40-man raids. It'll persist as long as the game persists. And then they started doing the different expansions. So they did Burning Crusade, and then they ended up doing Wrath of the Lich King, and now they're doing Cataclysm. And they're basically following the original release pattern from the past years of World of Warcraft. And then they started this as an experiment, using vanilla World of Warcraft as the base, but they wanted to tweak things. They wanted to like make it vanilla but not vanilla, and bring some abilities that had come out later in WoW's life and bring them forward into vanilla. And it's been a smash hit so far. So
I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep all of the different versions straight. So you said for this one, this is like the least.
She has a hold of me.
Bobby, let go. You're gonna stay in Mama's lap, or you're gonna leave.
She's like, I need to bother him.
So you said the version you're playing right now is the least accessible to new players?
This is the most accessible.
Most accessible, okay.
Yep.
So what makes it more accessible versus the other ones?
So they've tweaked a lot of the experience gains. And then they have, like right now, I think we're 50% bonus experience up to level 49. And then we get 300% extra gold from quest rewards. And that's persistent right now. That's all the way from level 1 to level 49, and the current level cap is level 50.
So I guess how does that make the game easier to play?
So the big issue with vanilla originally was it was so grindy. It was just a miserable grind. There weren't enough quests in the game. There weren't enough quest hubs. There wasn't enough like high yield experience activities to do that were not just go out and kill the same 5 dudes or creatures on repeat for the next 8 hours to get to the next level. Does that make sense?
Okay, that does.
But Season of Discovery has gone a long way to try and fix that issue. And what they've also done, because there was a lot of issues too in vanilla, that there were specializations for classes. So pretty much every class has 3 specs, 3 specializations. There were some that just didn't work. They just simply did not work. But what they've done by pulling some abilities from later in World of Warcraft's life into it, they have made certain specs viable, and they've also added these things called runes that you can find. I don't have all of mine yet. I'm still working on it. Runes that give you special abilities and powers and things like that, and different buffs that make the other specs viable. Like a prime example, like Paladin tanks didn't work in vanilla, but now with their runes, Paladin tanks work. So they were able to make things, possible, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And I find it to be simpler, less convoluted, less pain. Really the only thing I find to be painful in Season of Discovery is just really profession grinding. That's kind of it. It's a lot of fun, and the community's pretty thick too, which is nice.
Do you feel like any of the versions are easier to kind of find a community in, or do you think they're all, what are you doing?
I think right now Season of Discovery is going to be the easiest because everybody's recruiting. Like even my guild is recruiting right now. Even though I think we're flush 3 10-man teams, so we're pretty stacked going into this new phase, and we've got bench guys that are waiting to get on the main rosters. So it's we may end up standing a 4th 10-man team, or essentially establish 2 20-man teams because that's the new requirement for the new raid. But no, it's super easy to find a community to play with in Season of Discovery right now, and a lot of those communities too also play the other versions of World of Warcraft, so you could get to play the other ones as well if you wanted. I know there's a lot of guys in my current guild in Season of Discovery that play Wrath of the Lich King as well, so they bounce back and forth. But yeah, I can't. I keep trying. I keep desperately trying. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play retail again. And then I try and this sucks. Or I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know why it's like this. I'm like, why did we make this change? This change is dumb. There's too many buttons. Even though I know I have a lot of buttons on my screen right now.
Okay, so why did you take a ship there just to fly away?
So, different islands. So I started over here in Eastern Kalimdor. I have to take a ship across this big ocean to get, Eastern Kingdoms to get to Kalimdor. And then once I get to Kalimdor, I'm flying down here to where my quest is.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it just seems like a lot for no reason.
Explain the no reason part.
Why can't the ship just go there?
It's not how they designed the game. A lot of things didn't make sense in 2004.
Why not just fly straight there?
Because these 2 islands don't exist as they're separate from each other. So I don't even know how to explain it to you because you're not going to understand it. So there's a load screen between these islands to make them run more efficiently. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. But if a boat can go between them, why can't a...
Because the boat is the loading screen. So it sails out into the ocean, and once it gets to a certain point, it becomes a loading screen. get you to the next island.
Why can't the flying thing do the same thing?
So when the game was originally designed, it was designed to take forever so that you had to stay subscribed.
Of course.
Yeah, that's old school MMO
That makes
MMO
sense.
design, yeah.
More money. Corporate greed. That is the reason.
Yep. But the one thing that
I think that's the reason I don't like World of Warcraft, is it takes forever.
also your ADHD brain just can't handle it.
Yeah. Like it wants something a little more faster and high speed.
Yeah, I
but
want to
not too high speed because I still need to be able to learn it.
Well, and see that you're gonna have to pick one because retail's fast. Retail's really fast. Just look at the shiny object, follow the ball. That's all.
Be able to do that
that's
one.
all retail is. Retail is look at the shiny object, follow the glittering trail.
I mean, that's basically what shopping is. So I might be good at that.
Well, then we'll have to try again. But like, I'm burnt out from that. I can't do it anymore. I need this, where it takes me 10 years to get anywhere, so that I can so that my brain can rest after work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like I feel like video games is like I would expect to like actively be doing something. So like if I want to shut off, I would much rather just watch YouTube.
Well, there's varying levels to shutting up. So like, I have this problem with like YouTube Shorts and TikTok, and that's if I sit and I doom scroll TikTok or YouTube Shorts, especially if it's like 7 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm sitting here just scrolling through YouTube Shorts, just brain completely turned to mush off, I feel guilty. Does that make sense? I'm not utilizing my time to do something, even though this is really not productive for the overall continuation of our life goals. It's still like in a way productive.
I can see that.
Like I'm still problem solving in this. I'm still.
Yeah, and which I'm gonna say this like I don't like scrolling like YouTube Shorts because I feel guilty when I do it, and I also feel like it's like mind numbing a little bit.
It is, yeah, I definitely get that.
But like with YouTube videos, I'm bad to watch like a lot of like finance or health related stuff or things that are gonna be like more educational.
Right, yeah.
Or like even if I'm watching something a little different, there's been a few YouTubers I found that I I watched a couple of videos with like the whole on all the Stanley Cup drama and the like 11-year-olds in Sephora, but using that one of like, okay, what are people my age doing? And also kind of for like content research for our channel in a way.
So I do that. So, you know, like we'll shower and then we'll hop in bed, and there's typically like an hour-long period.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I'll do like visual research, but a lot of like when I'm playing video games like War Thunder or even World of Warcraft, I'm listening to other podcasts. I'm listening to other narrators and their speech patterns, how they speak, how they word things, how they present information in just a verbal way with no visual assistance.
Well, I'm about to watch channels that like they'll have like visual cues, but like they're not necessarily necessary. You could definitely just listen to it and be okay.
Yeah,
it is nice though to like, if they do have it, if there's something I watch, oh, what are they talking about, to be able to like look down and be like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense.
Right. Yeah. And that's like, I like Caleb Hammer's channel because it doesn't necessarily require you to watch.
Yes, though I do love watching the budget portion.
Oh, she's level 44.
Like when they put up the pie charts.
Yeah. I definitely like that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this quest. Oh no, I might have to go somewhere else. I may just have to abandon it. Oh, that makes me sad.
That, or even just like reading is kind of mind-numbing to me. depending on what you're reading.
How much reading did you do in college? Or was it like forced reading?
I did like no fun reading in college, partially because I just didn't have a lot of time to.
Right.
But like, I mean, I averaged 17 credit hours a semester up until my last year.
Yeah, I get that. That's kind of a pain. That feels very not fun.
I mean, part of it though is, and I know this now, and it like sucked back then, but it like worked, is like I couldn't be the student who just did 12 credit hours and did great. Because if I had too much free time, it would just like
descend into chaos.
Yeah, like that's all I would do is like I would never leave free time. So for me, it's like 17, 18 credit hours a semester, and I'm talking like pure like academic math, physics, engineering classes.
Just hammering down.
There wasn't a lot of like easy things mixed in. Like there wasn't a lot of gym classes. A lot of my like gen ed courses I got AP credit for from high school. So there was like very few things to kind of like fill in, and I felt like the gen eds I had to take were just brutal.
I feel like they make gen eds unnecessarily difficult and complicated and miserable.
That's how I felt about my ethics class. I loved the class, hated the test. It was just like
just be miserable for the sake of being miserable.
I remember her saying it was like, if you get a 90 on a test, that's great. It was just, yeah.
Hey, you halfway met the standard. Congratulations.
I remember like going, like every test I would take to her office hours afterwards and like go over the questions to figure out like what did I need to do to get a better score on this question. And her exact words to one of them, because like I was getting like B pluses on everything.
Ugh.
And so like there was like a question so every question was graded out of 10 points. And this test, a lot of mine were like 9 out of 10 points. I think I had like one 9.5. And then I had like another like 8 out of 10 question that like brought me down to like a B plus with the average. And she was just like, you got 9 out of 10 points. That's great. Like, why do you need to know how to do better? And it's like, because I want an A.
Because I need to be perfect.
I want an A. Like my GPA, my GPA matters here.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I took this class second semester freshman year, and with our program, like you weren't in your major yet. With engineering, you just came in as an engineering student, and you applied. Like once you had certain classes, you had to get
all to like the subspecialty.
Yeah, so like you had to do like chemistry, physics. I want to say you had to have through Calc 2 done. There's a couple of other things that like once you had those classes done, you could apply to your engineering program. And I was going for aerospace, which was like the most difficult program to get into.
Right.
And I was just like, my GPA matters. Like it's still like I'm competing for the most difficult program. I need the A in this class.
Yeah, I just some of the way, because I remember being in college and it was like I don't even know how to describe it, how it felt at times when they were just like, if you pass this class, congratulations. Like that was their mindset.
Yeah, that was just brutal. Like it was just, that class just like blew my mind. But I love other than that, like I love the class. There were some like really good conversations there. But oh, sorry, I was on the track of like doing 17, 18 credit hours. Like it was like more than a full-time job, but I needed that because like if I just had fun on like a random Wednesday night.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Like let's say like I went out to dinner with friends at like 5 o'clock on Wednesday. I wasn't coming home and I wasn't doing homework.
Okay.
Like it was just like I was off for the rest of the day. So like if I had such a hard course load to where like I had constantly be studying and like working on my grades during the week,
Right.
I would do better. And then like the weekends were my fun time.
Okay.
Like that's when I can enjoy it. And like if you look at it, the more credit hours I took, the higher my grades were in college, because I had to be studying all the time. I had to be doing homework and working on class and schoolwork.
Maybe that was my problem in college. Maybe I wasn't taking enough. Or maybe it could have been that I was starting to get mobilized.
I think it was a lot of different things. I would say most people do not thrive off of more pressure and more work.
I thrive off the pressure. I found out that I thrive off the pressure in my current career. Like if things are too easy, it's almost like I start to fall apart because I'm like, well, I'm not miserable, therefore I'm not doing a good job.
So,
you know what I mean?
For me, it's very easy to get in this mindset of something's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, this is easy. It's not due for 2 days. I can wait to do this.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
And then like I end up procrastinating on it, and I'm just like, and of course like everything takes a little bit longer than you expect it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep pushing off more so, but if I'm just like, I'm so overloaded, because in college it was a lot of, well, I have the time to do it, so I need to go ahead and get it done now, because I'm probably not going to have the time to do it tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. I get that. 100% get that. It's frustrating. It's so unimaginably frustrating, because it's like, I know that I can do this in the allotted amount of time and it not be stressful, but it's almost like I need it to be stressful to do a good job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do I make myself miserable? You know what I mean? It's like I'm basically self-induced misery.
Oh, yeah. That's what I live off of, so.
Yeah. Well, and it sucks because I used to work in an environment like that, but there were a lot of other things that made it less than desirable. You know what I mean?
The work schedule, for one.
Well, who didn't want to work 16 hours in a row and then do it again the next day?
Yeah.
So much fun.
And the fact that like you were the only one they ever asked.
I asked other people. Not that often. Mostly because I jumped on the grenade.
I'm glad that's over.
Now we just gotta get you out of it.
Still not as bad as teaching.
Ooh, buddy. Them were some rough years. I am fearful of the education system and what it will turn into.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to homeschool our kids, because
I know.
I just...
I am a little worried.
And I think that's the sad part, is like, I don't blame the teachers.
No, I absolutely don't. It's failure of administration. It's not the teacher's fault.
System, it's the parent. Like, it's just like, like, when there's 33 kids in a class, how can all the kids learn? How can all the kids get the attention they need?
Yep.
They can't.
There's more in some other ones too, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, when public education is supposed to provide like a free education to everybody, and like other teachers were just like, well, then they need to get a tutor.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what if they can afford a tutor? Like, we're supposed to be here, like, this was the whole point, and it's just like, it's gotten away of like, it's just a nightmare.
Yep. But
And that's like the hard part too, because like I did enjoy teaching when it was just me, the kids, and the 4 walls and nothing else. You know?
But when you have an observer in there, and yeah.
Honestly, the observers weren't even like the worst part. It was just like, it was everything else.
I definitely get that. Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, trying to draw back to World of Warcraft now. That's kind of how like Mythic Rating feels, because I remember when Mythic Rating came out, I felt it felt unnecessary to a degree. Like, why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. But it was also helpful because like Flex Rating came out and there were other things as well. But at the same time, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of gotten to a point because like Blizzard's equivalent to the administration, and it just feels like Blizzard keeps catering to a handful of people.
They're probably catering to whatever brings them money and gives them more money.
Well, the thing is, it's not bringing in money. That's the thing. Because you can't make it as a professional raider. You can't.
I can see that.
Like, and it's frustrating because there's... Oh, that's a really good belt. Oh no, that's a headpiece. Dang, son. Oh wait, hold up. Got more spirit. No, it's not that good. We'll throw it on the auction house. But yeah, like you can be a multimillionaire as a professional League player or Dota player, or thank you for the blessings. Yeah, professional Dota player, professional League of Legends player, professional
So, and correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but it seems like League, because they have all the competitions and like people actually like, go to watch these competitions like a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't League like a lot more like fast paced? And more like, because to me it's like, I know like with World of Warcraft, like it's not the most entertaining thing to watch.
And that was something that Asmongold had brought up in his video. He's like, nobody wants to watch. So it's fun to watch the world first. Like new raid drops. Top guild in the world, top 2-3 guilds in the world are racing to the finish. That is kind of fun to watch if you have been a raider, but a lot of it too, the raids are designed so poorly now that nothing is communicated clearly to the audience. But nobody wants to watch, you know, the 5th team try and finish it, because the first 3 or 4 teams already did. So you already watched it. You don't want to watch them do the same thing again.
Yeah, I feel like the only way I would enjoy watching World of Warcraft would be for like educational purposes of like seeing like, okay, what did someone do to complete this quest or to destroy this boss or whatever. Like, it would be to like get insight. It wouldn't be for like entertainment purposes.
It used to be entertaining to watch. Shout out to all the people who remember the Evanescence PvP solo videos. Those who know. But it's one of those things that like it was entertaining from 2004 to like 2010. It was entertaining. Now it's just kind of like not. You know what I mean?
And was it actually entertaining, or was it just because there wasn't as much content out there as there is now?
No, it was definitely entertaining. The big thing that made it... Content has evolved. Entertaining content about video games has evolved. And WoW didn't really evolve with it, is part of the issue.
I can see that.
And that's been really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people.
That spell isn't ready.
It's definitely been frustrating for me. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about how they need... So for retail World of Warcraft, like the most current version with all the updated graphics and story and stuff like that, none of these kind of like back in time World of Warcrafts, they need to do a second world sundering. They need to destroy WoW 1. They need to release a World of Warcraft 2. And they need to go rip off Final Fantasy 14. Because they do it right over there. They really do. Like, they don't miss. Like, all the bosses are well designed for raids. and for dungeons, class design, the graphics, the community, how guilds are done, how professions are done. It's all done really, really, really well. And it's just really not in World of Warcraft because they just keep trying to iterate on the same thing over and over again. And it was great back in 2004 because it was 2004. We didn't know it better. But like...
So to my point of it was great because there wasn't like other stuff to really compete and...
In terms of gameplay and game mechanics, yes. In terms of content, no. Because there were a lot of other games. There were a lot of other MMOs. There was... Oh, I'm blanking on them. So World of Warcraft, when it came out, people were like, oh, this is the sissy MMO that, you know, when you die, it's not hard. People said it's not hardcore because the original premise of MMOs was if you died, you lost experience. Mm-hmm. There was like a severe punishment for death. And in World of Warcraft, it didn't matter. You had a small repair bill. And they were the evolution on... World of Warcraft was the evolution on earlier MMOs and MMO design. And then there have since been other MMOs that have declared, we will be the WoW killer, we'll be the WoW killer. Well, I still haven't seen one yet. The closest one to ever come was Final Fantasy XIV, and it took them rebooting the original Final Fantasy XIV to actually pose a threat to World of Warcraft. The reason so many people have left World of Warcraft is because it's miserable to play. Nobody wants to spend 15 hours a day doing Mythic Pluses, wiping over and over again. You know what I mean? They want to progress at a reasonable pace, a reasonable rate.
Well, I guess that's still like that goes into playing, but what about like watching other gamers play it?
It is very difficult to convey skill in a game that is so poorly designed, it relies on add-ons to tell you when to move. That were not made by Blizzard. They were made by people who play the game or have since quit playing, but they still maintain the add-on because they know how many millions of people rely on it. So, like, CSGO does a really good job conveying skill. Valorant, really good job conveying skill. League of Legends, really good job conveying skill. But in World of Warcraft, when all you hear is run away, little girl, run away from somebody's DBM going off, it's kind of like, all right, you don't really, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't skill that told him not to stand in that. It was just...
there's too many prompts.
Yeah, there's too many prompts. There's too much going on. Like, even now, like, I'm just out farming. Ooh, he's gonna kill me in a second. Like, I'm out just farming mobs because all the quest hubs are overloaded and people are fighting for quest objectives. So I'm just kind of like, all right, well, whatever. I'm just gonna do this instead. So, but there's so much going on all the time. There's always just a bunch of crap going on flying across the screen at all times. Because the graphics of the game don't convey what's happening to you. Does that make sense? So, like, a big issue in a lot of the newer raids, especially I think at Mir Drasil, you have a red boss in a red room that uses red mechanics and conveys those mechanics using red graphics. Oh, and if you get hit by one, it turns you red. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like, nobody knows what's going on. They need an add-on to tell them what's going on. So and part of me, like, I feel like I'm just regurgitating what's already been said by a lot of YouTubers who are a lot bigger than us. But I mean, they're right. They're not wrong in any way. You know what I mean?
So why do people continue to play World of Warcraft? Is it just like nostalgic, or?
It's nostalgia. I think it's a combination of nostalgia and my issue is I've put so many man hours into World of Warcraft, I don't know how to walk away. I walked away at one point, play Tarkov, and then I ran into the same problem with Tarkov. It's like, I don't know how anybody plays that game anymore. It's so stressful, and it's so buggy, and it's got all these issues. And I can't play it for what it is, because I know it can be better.
Which isn't Tarkov still beta, technically?
Is a poor excuse for it's not good. You know what I mean?
Is it, which I guess my question, how long has Tarkov been in beta?
It started alpha in 2015, went beta in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
So, a while. Is it that they don't have enough funding?
Oh, they've got funding out the nose.
Okay. Is it that they would...
It's a Russian company. They just don't have the talent pool over there. And
That's
they
what I was
don't,
gonna ask,
yeah,
the
and
talent,
they don't know. Like, Nikita doesn't know when things are wrong sometimes. And a lot of changes feel very arbitrary. It's like...
Well, I can get that, because even just like a dashboard I've been working on, it was like, we released it, like we showed it to managers, and they started like playing around, and they like managed to break it. And so it brought up issues that we were not aware of. So like I can understand how that happens, because you try to test for every scenario.
There's issues that have been in the game since before I started playing in 2021,
Okay,
or no,
there's
in 2020, that are still in the game.
But it's probably talent, because
Like, they just added in the most recent patch, because my buddy Hat messaged me about it. He was like, dude, they finally added ammo stats to the game. So if you look at a piece of ammo in your stash and you hover over it, it'll tell you what the damage and penetration value and penetration chance is. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're only 2 years late. You know what I mean? Like, people have been having to make third-party tools to figure this stuff out. So it's just one of those things that, like, I can't do it anymore. The game's already stressful enough as it is, and it's so punishing. It's one of the most punishing games I've ever played. And I can't deal with the stress of it, especially playing as a solo player. I would have to play with my team again. But like, I can enjoy World of Warcraft by myself. I can't enjoy Tarkov by myself.
I can see that.
You know, and World of Warcraft only becomes more fun with people. But like, Tarkov is just miserable at times. It's just miserable to play. Especially like, you take all the time to get ready to go into raid, you finally go into raid, and you die 30 seconds later because somebody spawned at a particular place. They knew your spawn, and they just immediately turned and one-tapped you in the head. It's
Also,
like
haven't
awesome.
they had like issues with like people like hacking the game?
Oh, buddy, yes sir, they do. And what's so frustrating about hackers in Tarkov is it's a combination of things. So in my heart of hearts, I don't think there's a lot of rage hackers. And when I say rage hackers, I mean people that are like, they ain't trying to hide it. You know what I mean? Like, inhuman response time, flying around on the map, you know, auto vacuuming loot out of containers. But it's the soft hacks. Like, all you need is a hack that gives you just a little bit of information. Like, just a radar. Like, I don't need wall hacks. I don't need an aimbot. If you just tell me where people are on the map, it makes me an infinitely better player.
Oh yeah,
because I have that knowledge prior to an engagement. Oh, I know there's 3 guys in that building over there, so I need to avoid them for now until I can pick one off alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, and don't get me wrong, World of Warcraft has its problems with real money trading, gold buyers, and stuff like that. And there's bots in World of Warcraft, and they break the economy sometimes, but it's just kind of, they don't directly ruin the fun of the game for me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Not like it does in Tarkov, because if I load into an interchange raid and, you know, I'm sprinting to the mall, you know, which is really where everything is, you got to get to the mall, and I just keel over dead instantly within the first 45 seconds. I'm like, either he had a really good spawn and knew exactly where I was, knew to look where I was going to be if I had spawned where I spawned, and I did spawn there, or it's like, all right, we may have a rage hacker, we got somebody with radar, or you know what I mean? And it's hard to in Tarkov because it's so buggy and scuffed that like sometimes you don't know if somebody's hacking or not. You really don't. Because you're like, well, did I make noise? Is that how he knew I was there? Is the audio occlusion messed up between floors that I didn't hear him but he heard me? You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you'll be fighting some dude, and really you think it's a solo player, but really it's a duo, and his buddy was 50 meters back who didn't come into the engagement with him and just sat there on Overwatch, and as soon as you tried to peek him, his buddy in the back drops you, and you're like, how did he kill me? But you don't know that because you don't have that information.
Yeah.
Because when you die, that's it. You receive no more information from the raid. You just get a name of the dude who killed you, but you don't know whether it was the dude in front of you or if there was another guy watching 500 meters or 100 meters away with a long gun. Sorry, I'm on like a mega rant now. I'm trying not to like mega rant.
Should we save that for the podcast?
Yeah, we'll probably say that for the podcast. I literally feel like I think I'm somewhere between Jesse and Veritas, because a lot of it, and a lot of what ruins Tarkov for me is a lot of my real world experience. Because I'm like, it's so close, but also like I don't want it to be 100% real, because real is miserable. It's not fun. It sucks. So that's kind of like, I don't know. And sometimes this is nice in World of Warcraft. Just going around farming mobs. Just chatting with you. You know. Nothing crazy. My bags are almost full. No. Sometimes this is just nice. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. You know.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the horses' feet on fire?
Because this is an undead dread steed.
What?
It's a summoned warlock mount. So it's like an undead flaming horse. It's a warlock specific like class thing that they don't have to pay for a mount because they just summon one. You're like, there goes another one.
I can't cast that yet.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So yeah. And then paladins have like their paladin mount that they get for free that they can summon.
It's still recharging.
But in retail, there's a lot of different mounts. In vanilla, there wasn't a lot of different mounts. Not like there is. I think mounts started really getting out of control towards Wrath, Cataclysm, right around there. But in vanilla, you couldn't fly. The only way to fly was to take the Autopath Griffin or Wolf Bat or whatever the mount one is. That was the only way you could fly. But a lot of it, they didn't design the old world to be flown around in. That's why the Cataclysm, they destroyed the old world, and what they did is they went in and they hid all their mistakes and redesigned areas. They were like, okay, we designed this to be seen from the ground, now we need to redesign it so it can be seen from the air. But we've been going almost an hour.
Yeah.
45 minutes an hour or something like that.
I think we were, planning on 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think 20, 30 minutes. Well, we're just having such good conversation that, I just kind of didn't want to stop it, but if you're good to go, I'm good to go.
I think let's wrap it up. So.
Well, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it because we love making it for you.
If you enjoyed our conversation that we had, we will have a podcast on Sunday, so be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah, we're not quite to live streaming it yet. We're not on that vibe. But yeah, we do a podcast, comes out every Sunday, usually Sunday morning. So,
But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya. Peace.
Bye.
You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh.